6:48 as we head down the home stretch. Going to be here till 7 o'clock this evening, as we are each and every Sunday here on 570 KLIF. Visitation rights. If you are part of a divorced family, the young boy, the young girl, your son, your daughter, where do they go? Christmas is coming up. We just wrapping up Thanksgiving Day weekend, and you just kind of wonder, Mom, Dad, it's all in the the decree, I guess, as to where they go. But visitation rights. Have you got a story that comes to mind, or anything you might share with us that was really over the top, and you said, I'll never, ever forget when so-and-so happened?
Yeah, and I part of my practice, I enforce a lot of court orders. That's kind of a little specialty of mine, and it's something I enjoy doing. And like I said, I wrote the manual on, or helped write the manual on, and I actually have had a lady go to jail for denying her ex-husband their children on Christmas.
Really?
Yep, absolutely.
So what happened?
And I felt pretty good about it, actually, putting her there, or assisting in putting her there.
So what was it she did that would warrant her going to jail on Christmas Day?
She denied him his Christmas. He actually had flown down. I don't remember where he flew from, but and I don't want to be too specific, but he had flown in from out of town and was to pick up his children for Christmas, and she didn't deliver them designated place, designated time. He went to her house to look for them. They weren't there.
For what reason? She just didn't want them to be with him?
That's it, sure. Absolutely.
Interesting. Steve, you got any story that rings a bell that sounds something like that?
I represented still do, I guess, client in New York State, and he has a disabled son here in Dallas, and the child is, I guess, 20 or so. But when a child is disabled, like for life, those orders continue for life. Child support, possession, that kind of thing, and
just because they need the extra assistance.
Yeah, right. The child support,
right,
and then you've got you've got an adult who's really his mind is like a child, and and you've got two parents that want to see him, and so possession schedules continue with those children or those individuals, I guess. And the mom is just a royal pain and just won't comply, and so we've had to enforce orders against her here for the adult disabled child. It's bizarre, but it does happen. Yeah.
What about when you have some scenario like that you go across state lines? You've got New York, you've got Texas. One parent's one place, another parent's another. The child maybe in either of those states, or maybe even in a third state. I just wondered.
It's wherever the child is.
Okay, it's where the child is. That's the law that you abide by. That state law.
Yes.
Right.
For 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if the child moves.
So these aren't federal laws. These are all state laws.
It's actually an adopted, it's called the Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction and Enforcement Act, and it's adopted by, I think, 49 states in the union. I do believe that the last time I dealt with it, Louisiana has not yet signed on. They may have by now, but
the acronym is UCCJEA, and everybody adopts the same rules. But the home state, it's called the home state wherever the child's been for the last 6 months.
That's where the jurisdiction
is the home state of the child.
Okay.
And the court of continuing jurisdiction, et cetera, and all that stuff. So
that is correct.
Yeah. So my client lives in New York, and so we have to enforce. So he's got to come here to enforce the order. He's got to fly here for the hearings, and it's a real challenge because, these crafty lawyers like Trey will, who might represent the mom, will get the hearing reset. And for some reason, and so Dad flies in for the hearing, and all of a sudden it gets reset. Now she may have to pay his travel expenses or something. Maybe if you can get the judge. Now Judge Harris may do that. Some judges don't. But but regardless of the fees, he's got to take time off of work and fly in, and then turn around and fly back and fly in again.
Pay his attorney, and
yeah, it's a mess.
Let me ask you this: you're both attorneys. You're both doing this type of thing on a regular basis. This is your livelihood, and yet, like everybody else that is involved with whatever profession or occupation it might be, I'm sure we all have, at one time or another, thought to ourselves, oh, if I didn't have to deal with that every day. Here I am, I'm a practicing attorney, I'm dealing with divorce cases every day, and yet the same doggone thing keeps coming up. I wish
like
we
clockwork.
I wish we could eradicate that, or just that's never going to be a part of the issue. Is there anything like that if you could change this whole scenario about visitation rights and what we've been talking about tonight, is there one little thing in there that you could think about that, you know what, if they just got rid of this, it would make the whole process so much easier and maybe even that much more fair?
I guess that would be procreation. That's going to be the only way to get rid of it.
This is only an hour show, my friend.
I know. I can't think of a way to get rid of it, because you got two people that obviously didn't get along well enough to raise their child together.
But there's nothing from a legal standpoint that maybe we could do that. I mean, you know these laws upside down and backwards. The two of you, recite this stuff like it's, getting up in the morning. I just wondered though, is there one thing that you say, you know what, if we could get rid of this, I think it would really change the entire process.
If you could get rid of the hearsay rule.
Maybe.
Is there a hearsay rule?
Of course, absolutely.
And it's bad because you can't say what somebody else said other than the parties. So
unless it's in a text message, and then you have to
prove it up. Yeah, the rules of civil procedure, the rules of evidence. If we could eradicate all those things and just do it the good old fashioned way, just get into court and just tell what's happened, but you can't.
No, you can't, especially when you're facing jail time. Unfortunately, Judge Harris, whom we've talked about repeatedly on this show, has said that a enforcement proceeding is considered quasi-criminal, but I've never sent anybody to quasi-jail. But it is treated like a criminal case. I mean, you have to prove your case, and it's not informal, because if it's informal, then the party probably will not go to jail.
But what that means is you're entitled to a lawyer. You're entitled to a defense lawyer, and if you can't afford one, they have to appoint one for you.
That is correct.
The state has to appoint one?
Well, the county.
Or the county?
Yeah,
do they really?
They'll appoint the public defender's office probably to, I think, typically is what they do to represent them.
I get appointed to those cases periodically, not as much as I used to.
Because it is quasi-criminal, and if you can go to jail for something, you're entitled to a lawyer for child support, for possession enforcement, anything like that.
And as I've sat here and listened to everything you've shared with us, I kind of sit back and think to myself, and you know what? Here you've got a mom, here you've got a dad going head to head for whatever reason it might be. We heard Sean's story about somebody wanting to come down here and bring their son from Minnesota, and that never came to pass. And yet I think to myself, in the end, probably 99% of the time, the one losing out isn't the mom, isn't the dad, it's the child, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And what I've found, and this is for advice that I give people for going forward, is it's kind of like having a bank account when you deal with the other co-parent. If let's say they need 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, or they need something, if you give it to them, then when you need something, you're going to get it as well. And it's kind of a rule of reciprocity. Like, I'll give you an example. My ex-wife is putting up Christmas lights today. She needed to borrow my ladder. Okay, come get it. You know what? Next time I need something, it's going to be there.
Theoretically.
At least in our scenario.
Yeah, give and take. But when you're in that emotional state, and the jealousies come in with new love interests, all reason goes out the window.
All bets are off, aren't they?
Yeah.
Especially when this other person, particularly if they tend to be female, I'm not trying to be sexist here, but especially if they think that their kid is starting to like new mom, new girlfriend, whatever, more than them. That's when the
better
claws,
than present mom, or birth mom.
That's when the claws truly come out.
Yeah, they come home talking about them and what they did and how they threw the ball with them or whatever. Yeah. Oh my gosh, the whole dynamic changes, and it's bad.
Self-esteem is always tested, isn't it?
It's just bad.
Yeah, it is. Well, guys, we could talk about this forever, but this was quite interesting. But and we hope those of you out there that might have been listening and find yourselves in a similar situation have learned something from Steve and Trey, as we always do here on Relationship Roundtable. Thank you, guys. Appreciate all that you do, and we'll see you next Sunday.
Yep.
Sounds like a deal?
Be here.
All right. And as we always remind each and every one of you, live your life as a go-getter and share your life as a go-giver. On this Thanksgiving Day weekend, we thank you for being a part of our program. Till next Sunday, I'm Scott Murray. Good night, Texas.